So in this tutorial, we're just painting with a round brush, standard Photoshop brush, nothing special. So this is actually pretty early on in the classes, I think, for one of our design courses, entertainment design. And what we do is we teach students to use a lot of default tools. That way they don't get too caught up in experimenting too much and relying on Photoshop to get their design versus just design it the way you always do, or pen and paper. Now in this case, I'm trying to explain to students how to do some sexy stuff when you're designing girls. There's certain areas you want to reveal. Obviously, the breast area, the hip area, the long legs. It's that kind of things you probably don't want to lose. The shoulders, but I also don't want to do something stupid like where you show so much skin. It doesn't make sense. At least in this kind of context where these girls are fighting crime, you don't want to walk around in a bikini and showing not lots and lots of skin. But you can hint at those areas. So in this costume here, what I did is I cut the middle out, and that kind of almost gives you an illusion like there's a zipper that's completely unzipped in the middle of this outfit. It creates that sense of vulnerability, right? That it could be nude. We could even take the color and make it more skin color in the middle to suggest the female curves. Okay. So this is all a lot of design decisions, I guess, in a way. Even though it's quick, we have to think about those kind of things and how does it play out in terms of character development as on the film. Okay, very quick, some ground shadows. So these girls are grounded on the floor. Super fast, right? It's quite messy. I like to work this way in the initial phases of a project, so you don't lose any type of feeling or gut instinct. You just let it all come out. Draw a sketch. Don't try to focus on cleaning it up too much yet. You could always clean these up, right? Even this is done, and say the clients like the middle one, like this one I'm drawing here. We could always do an overlay and spend the entire day redrawing the whole thing or trace it over so it's nice and clean. By this point, my main focus is to let's get the design out. Let's capture the idea. So here the head design, the helmet is mimicking her chest area. This kind of cut right down the middle. So I just let this sketch out for a second. And this is actually a good time to talk about a little bit, ever since I put these tutorials up, we do get quite a bit of emails regarding like, can you do this tutorial, can you do this tutorial, which is good, and we try to cater to that. For example, we have a lot of character requests, so we do character stuff. But the thing we do get a lot is how can you show us the fundamentals, those kind of things. And those things in tutorial mode, especially on video, is very hard to show. And two, those things really are taught in a school or classroom environment because it takes a good 6 months to a year to learn those things. I think a good analogy for all this, especially if you haven't been to a design school and you're very young watching this, a very good way to think about it is imagine you're at an air show and you're watching these pilots do acrobatics, right? These doing loops, flips, all these maneuvers, and that's what these videos sort of are. Is teaching you a series of techniques that you could do, right? So this tutorial might be how to do a spin, and all you gotta do is follow the directions, right? To do those acrobatic things is like take your airspeed up to 200 knots, hold up to 1,500 feet, and then do a spin. Tell your artificial horizon is at this level. And that's what they are. However, those acrobatic techniques would be useless if the person didn't know how to fly a plane in the first place. But to learn how to fly a plane takes a very long time. So for me, it took almost a year and a half to 2 years to get my private license to fly planes. There was a lot of training involved. Once you know how to fly, the stuff you do in the air is actually a lot easier than the flying process itself, such as taking off and landing and all the thousands of safety procedures you have to learn. And that's exactly what you're watching here. These are all, at least most of these are acrobatic tricks. Think of it that way, right? The fundamental stuff, we don't do it here because simply, one, it takes a lot of time. These videos in 10 minutes each can never cover it. It's way too much stuff. And two, you have to be in an environment where homework has to be assigned to you. Those things are not fun. Doing fundamentals is definitely not fun. When I was in school, I hated it because it takes you forever. The result looks stupid because you just get a bunch of lines on the page. But that's what it takes to build up these kind of things you see here. So anyways, hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So if you guys are in an area where you could take some classes at your local schools, do those things. Find one that teaches fundamentals. And then that way, when you watch these tutorials, a lot of stuff will start making sense. So again, that message goes out more to the younger generation here, who, or you're 18 or 17 and trying to decide what you want to do with your career. Because I'm sure that watching this tutorial or some of them, the other ones on YouTube, when you try to do it yourself, you find that it's extremely hard. And because the thing about fundamentals is not there, you're watching a video where these drawings or paintings are just kind of taking place, and then when you try on paper, you're like, how come it doesn't come out exactly the same, right? What's going on? And then you get frustrated. It's because underneath these drawings, or especially if you watch the set ones, there's a lot of calculations going on that I don't need to do, right? I don't need to actually draw all the lines on the grid because it's built into the experience of knowing fundamentals. That's the part you don't see in these videos, and that's the part that frustrates a lot of younger people that are trying to learn this trade, I guess. So anyways, back to the tutorial. This is the third one. So I'm trying to make this one a little sexy. This is, I think, Pris. I forgot which is the playful girl. I think it's Pris. There's always the flirty, the flirty one that's super energetic, like kind of like an 18-year-old or something like that. So I made her pose a little bit sexier, and I'm making her outfit very like kind of like a cat almost, very slick. And I'm making this cut line. You can see that starts on the bottom of her arm there, that runs all the way down to her leg, and we're gonna keep that stripe skin colored. So I remember teaching this to the students. Imagine if we actually made this uniform out of some kind of leather material for the real actress, and you left it real skin exposed underneath that. By seeing that very long exposure of skin, then you know that this girl underneath is nude, right? There's no bra, there's no underwear and stuff, and that plays the senses to the male audience without you showing giant breasts or showing tons of skin, right? It's playing with those kind of human emotions. To know tiny things, it's kind of like if you see a little bikini line or something like that exposed on a girl, you think that's sexier than if the girl is actually nude. Same type of concepts is that revealing a little bit is actually does a lot. So that's what we're trying to teach our students here. Because otherwise, if you don't do this tutorial, if I didn't do it, I'm pretty sure half of my class is going to come back with a bunch of girls in bikinis holding giant guns, which the film company will think it's ridiculously not mature, right? So I didn't allow that in my class. We don't do babes with giant swords or babes with big guns in this school because it's too easy. That to me is not necessarily super hard to solve as a design, because just like doing things with guns, quite easy. You could take any car and just slap a big gun on it, or you could take any girl, take all her clothes off and just cover her with some bikini and get a big gun. By default, it's really cool because you are playing up built-in instincts to humans. Especially guys, right? When guys see a cool car, it's already cool. When guys see a gun, it's already cool. So you put the two together, it's cool. Right? It's very hard to screw it up. Just like a girl, if you take a sexy girl with a nice body, make her almost nude, by itself, guys will look at it. Then you combine that with something else that's very male-centric, like a weapon, like a sword or a giant monster or whatever. It's also very, it plays with the emotions that they like, right? So in a design school, we tend to stay away from those kind of projects because it doesn't challenge the students in a way. Versus, for example, let's do a project where you are designing a female accessory that's going to help them shop, and the age group is between age 30 and 40, and this thing has to be buildable today. That makes it a lot harder for the students. They have to actually think about it, right? So anyways, back to the video. I wasn't even sure what I was doing there. I think I was adjusting the colors or something like that. I was spazzing the crap out of the image. No idea. Anyway, so you can see I colored it skin color, that kind of stripe that goes all the way down her body. Also made her a little bit playful. Her helmet a little bit girly-like, kind of hinting at pigtails and those kind of little things that makes her feel young. Some highlights. She also has a little bit of shoulder brush. She's got like a freaking bulge on her spine right now. But if you zoom out, you don't notice those kind of things. But if I was to refine it, we could definitely go back and clean up a lot of this stuff. So continue watching. Oh, by the way, next week I think I'm gonna go into some other types of tutorials. Just to spice things up a little bit, so we don't do the constantly drawing tutorials. I think I'm gonna go into more about, for example, how to prepare your portfolio, or how to practice every day. These kind of things. Some general things. Sorry, excuse me. Let me take a drink here.